The next topic I want to talk about is quite old, but man was it such an interesting unidentified mystery back when it was first brought up. I got pretty into it. Actually, a lot of the newer Lost Media fans have probably not even heard about this one before, and unfortunately, despite my best efforts back then, and the other people who were helping with the topic, we just had no idea what this could be from. But now, I might have actually pieced together the origin of this mystery, but it requires a secondary search to find. To recap the topic up until now, back in 2022, a recollection came forward on Twitter from Mike Austin, a storyboard artist at Disney TV Animation. In this recollection, he remembered a strange short from his childhood that read, "I'm desperately trying to find the name of a show/skit within a show about cats who were news anchors. They were real cats and they wore ties and stuff and had cute names. I think it aired on Cartoon Network, but I could not find anything online about it." After this post was spread around, people were sent into a frenzy trying to find what this short was, especially considering it was allegedly from Cartoon Network, deepening the interest and mystery. Mike elaborated further and gave us a time frame of late 2000s or early 2010s when they saw it, and even recalled drawing fan art of it after liking it so much. While he doesn't have any of that original fan art, we did get a mock-up photo of what the cats looked like. But even with this visual, it didn't lead anywhere back then. People had searched through all kinds of Cartoon Network variety shows like Mad, short series that aired in between commercial breaks, and even in bumper compilations from their stranger eras. The best theory at the time was that this aired as a short series in the early 2010s, similar to Hot Dog TV, which was a very short-lived series and fell into obscurity. I didn't even remember this show existing, and I watched a lot of Cartoon Network during that era, so cat news falling into obscurity during this time would not be that unbelievable. Eventually, the search was spread to Adult Swim content, as it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume they were actually the ones who made it, and that Mike was misremembering Cartoon Network for Adult Swim. But this was actually debunked by Mike, as it was claimed the short was made for kids, or it was at least seen on a kid's channel, which is where I think the misremembering started coming into effect, and had been steering us in the wrong direction, because of what I found while researching the topic for this video, and the evidence is quite convincing. While I was trying to refresh myself with this topic, I simply googled the topic, thinking there was a Lost Media Wiki article or some news source I could find, besides the original Twitter thread. And I came upon a Reddit thread from 3 years ago that talks about the topic. Interestingly, this post actually uses one of my short videos as a source, and apparently, a comment in that video that I never saw before mentions where it came from. The comment says, "I very specifically remember a bumper for a stoner-centric show on MTV called Munchies, and in one scene, a character says, 'Hey, turn on cat news,' and clips of this begin to play." Now that is a wild claim to make, because not only does it name cat news specifically, which was only a made-up name at this point, it wasn't really called cat news, we don't know what it was called, but it mentioned a show I had never even heard of before, called Munchies. I did a Google search for this show, and did get a couple results, only a couple of photos actually, but after doing more looking into this, it didn't seem like the same show that was mentioned in the comment. It looked like this show only aired internationally, and that alone doesn't really fit with the original recollection at all. But after a little more looking around, I actually found a different Reddit thread that was looking for a show also called Munchies, but not from MTV, and instead from the Fuse channel. Apparently, this show ran from 2005 to 2006, was a variety show with many different skits, and is almost completely lost in itself. There is one comment in this post that links a playlist from YouTube with only a handful of clips from the show, and upon watching a few of them, they're so varied and strange with short run times. Cat news fits perfectly with this style, on top of the fact that Munchies checks every box from the original recollection, except for that kids show part. I am convinced the cat news segment is from this show, and what's more is there's another comment in that same Reddit thread that says, "Who remembers the episode with the cat that was being interviewed? OMG, I just realized my ears are shaped like triangles." The only way we'll be able to confirm this for sure is getting more episodes of Munchies found, but I have no idea how many episodes this show had or how often it was aired, because it's fallen into extreme obscurity. There aren't even any full episodes online, and it doesn't look like it was ever streamed anywhere either. The best I can say is check your VHS tapes if you remember watching this show, and maybe we'll unearth both cat news and more of Munchies. Now we're going to move on to a topic that I haven't talked about in a long time, but one that has been gaining new traction and leads that were not being discussed before, which is kinda crazy that I'm beginning the segment this way, since it has to do with SpongeBob Lost Media. You'd think we'd have a better idea of what this is, but believe it or not, there are a lot of unidentified SpongeBob topics that people are still on the hunt for, though this one is seemingly the most popular right now, and has benefited from word of mouth in the past. I feel like we're just a few keywords away from actually finding this piece of strange lost media, and I even have a little update with the details for you guys too. You might have heard about this topic before, as it's commonly referred to as SpongeBob Pair, and it comes from a thread posted in March 2024 on the Lost Media Wiki forums by user Jinteg, though had been originally shared on Reddit a couple years prior. The gist of this story is that sometime in the late 2000s on Nickelodeon, a bizarre, alternate version of the intro of the show was seen on the channel. It's recollected that this opening had replaced Painty the Pirate with a simple painting of a pear fruit without any dialogue, before it cut to a CGI model of SpongeBob's house as a band was superimposed onto it and played a unique version of the theme song. Now, upon a first read, this topic itself seems really strange, and there is already a huge question mark at the end of it because it's outright stated this could be a bizarre dream, and not something that actually existed. But after this topic was shared around, other users came forward with memories of what was being described. Though this was immediately followed by suggestions on other things that it could have been confused with, as well as the belief that it was made up entirely. Well, at this point nothing could really be proven or disproven. Jinteg did some looking around themselves and ruled out that it was a specific promo advertising a special, something international or from a theme park, and a consensus had been reached that it was a skit or bumper used to fill time. And actually, this is basically all that was collected for the remainder of 2024, until In the Flesh posted a much more detailed recollection in early 2025 of what they remembered this opening to be like, not only further validating the memories of those who recalled it, but also more details to help narrow down what it is we're looking for. This includes that an announcer spoke at the end of this skit, and that it was promoting some kind of new episode or event. Additionally, the band was recalled as having 4 people in it with male vocals, and that the band itself was pop punk in its sound, something like My Chemical Romance, though it's not believed to actually be them. In the Flesh also corroborated the late 2000s timeframe, though did extend its endpoint to around 2015 at the latest. After a little more discussion, a mock-up of the pear painting was made, and then the decision made to instead shift focus from the SpongeBob route to the band route, and try to identify who it was singing in the first place. Since the pear had been considered an enigma of this topic, it was theorized that maybe the fruit had some kind of connection to the band, like it's their logo or a reference to some of their other work. The plaid clothing identifier has also heavily been used to search, in that the people were either wearing plaid skirts or kilts. User Flower Princess added some more specifics to this that they remembered, including that one of the singers had spiky black hair and that the plaid was actually seen on their shirts, as well as confirming that 2009 timeframe. Jinteg has stated that they've looked through hours of commercial compilations and found nothing, while no one else has been able to find any pear imagery that is connected to the band either. I did a quick look myself recently, and did find some music-related promos from 2009, and a SpongeBob event which DJ Patchy hosted, which seems to add legitimacy to that being the right year. Currently, I think there is enough evidence to prove this topic is indeed real, but it is still unknown how many details are being misremembered or by how much. But I do believe it was connected to some kind of special event or promotion and was not made without a bigger purpose. Taking all of this info into consideration, it seems like a pop-punk band with 4 members wearing plaid from the late 2000s are the most commonly agreed upon memories. And since searching for SpongeBob Band or SpongeBob Pair didn't get us anywhere, once the band can be identified successfully, it could directly lead us to the promo, or at least give us confirmation about it. Like, I can totally see this just being mentioned in the trivia section of some band's Wikipedia page. And it's just that nobody knows how to find that band, In fact, the one thing I have always thought about when searching for this topic is that really weird promo from 2001 that I found in a playlist on YouTube, where 3 guys in Hawaiian shirts sing about new episodes of Spongebob. Clearly this is not what's being remembered, but my point stands that this is just so obscure, I had no idea it existed until I found it. And if someone had remembered this and made a thread called Dudes in Hawaiian Shirt Intro, we'd have no way of coming across this upload by searching with those terms. In fact, if it hadn't been for the thumbnail with the singer's face in it, I probably never even would have clicked on it or seen it in the first place. I also found this really obscure SpongeBob commercial from 2003 that only aired internationally and featured music from a band called Royksop, which I've never heard of before. What I'm getting at with these examples is that it's possible this pair band is already online, and we just don't know how to get Google to index it. Either that, or maybe it really is some super obscure band that no one has ever heard of and has become forgotten simply because their music or presence is not widely known. But I do feel like we're close to solving this one, and only a couple more good memories could lead us to finding it. The last topic of this video is one that's very fascinating to me, and dabbles more into the lost merchandise side of things. While it's not quite a piece of lost media itself, it does have an unidentified origin, and what I believe it might be from actually is lost media. I figured this would be a good video to discuss it, though I admit this is probably a topic that literally no one else on this planet cares about except me. You guys are probably going to think I'm crazy caring so much about this, but I'd like to talk about a piece of paper. But it's no ordinary piece of paper, it's a piece of paper I've only ever seen once, and have no idea where it came from. Let me explain. As a collector of retro games, specifically the Japanese Sega Saturn and FM Towns Marty console, there are a lot of different components that define a complete game. Unlike in the US where a complete game is typically just the disc, manual, and case art, a complete game in Japan has more contents. With Saturn, for example, a complete game also includes the obi or spine card and registration card or postcard. Depending on the game, some will come with extra pamphlets, while some games were never even packaged with registration cards at all. But generally speaking, the obi and the registration card are the 2 components that are common across most games. However, with FM Towns Marty games, there is no universal rule as to what a complete game is. Some games only come with a registration card and manual, while some come with several registration cards, and others even come with game catalogs or extra inserts. Not only that, but there is no master list for these documents, and with FM Towns Marty games being notoriously hard to find nowadays, even finding listings of known complete copies of games can sometimes be impossible, which is where this mystery begins. Not too long ago, I was looking for FM Towns Marty games on Yahoo Japan, and came across a copy of Splatterhouse that caught my eye. Now, this version of this game is one of my favorites of all time, so I've already gone out of my way to find a copy for myself that came with its manual and registration card, everything I had ever seen the game come with, until now. I noticed that this recent listing of the game, strangely, included an extra piece of paper that mine didn't have. It was a small folded sheet that looked like it could have been a second registration card, but upon translating it through Google, it revealed that it was actually advertising a computer repair service for the FM Towns computer systems. Now these FM Towns Marty games could be played on the Marty console, but were basically made for the FM Towns computer systems. So the inclusion of this paper was not strange for that reason, and instead it was strange because I wondered why it was there. I have never seen this piece of paper with any other copy of Splatterhouse that had been photographed online, or with any other FM Towns game in general. While it seemed more likely that this paper had been placed there by its owner, rather than every copy of Splatterhouse online being incomplete, I just couldn't be sure of this, and continued thinking of explanations I could prove without a doubt. So I looked over its text once more for clues, and I did get a lead. I noticed that it mentioned referring to the warranty, which must have been talking about paperwork that came with the unit. But there was one problem with this idea. I don't have an FM Towns computer. So there was only one thing left to do to solve this mystery. Simply find a complete paperwork set from an FM Towns computer system and see if this card is in there. If its origin is that of the paperwork package, it confirms the seller just added this piece into the Splatterhouse box itself, and that it did not originally come with this. But if it's not in the computer paperwork, then I would be more convinced it did indeed come with the game. Now unfortunately, this is where the search hit a dead end, because I could not find a complete paperwork set for the FM Towns computer anywhere online. That in itself is lost media. Nobody has archived or scanned the documents that came with that computer. The closest I could find was an old Facebook Live video, and they did show a bag of paperwork for a moment, but didn't lay out all the contents, and who knows if this is even a complete set either. Now even if the paper is not seen with the original documents in a computer set, it still leaves the possibility open that this particular copy of Splatterhouse was simply a first printing of the game, which maybe included that paper originally. So it's not that mine and every other copy online is incomplete, it's just that our copies never included this paper in the first place. But that is something I'd never be able to prove without a doubt, because I don't know the release history of the game. But until we have an answer for the paper, as well as the rest of the topics in this video, they'll definitely remain a mystery. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other Lost Media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.